Hey everyone, welcome to Biking with Campbell. Today I am doing a review of the Anakee Wild by Michelin and the MITAS EO7 Plus.
I need to go fast, oh so fast, faster than the rest, I need to go fast, oh so fast, fast like lightning, oh yeah.
Well, feels not too good. So there's going to be a good, the bad, and the ugly review. I am running the Michelin Anakee Wild on the front of my Africa Twin. That is a 2190/90, and I've got the EO7 Plus on the back of my bike, and that is on an 18-inch rim, and the sizes will be here somewhere because I forgot to look them up before I wrote my script. Anyway, these were the tyres that I replaced my standard Africa Twin tyres with. Anybody that has the standard tyres on the Africa Twin will tell you how bad they are. They are hot garbage. They do. Mine were pretty worn when I got them, but it was like literally, it was like ice skating, especially like if it was a little bit wet. So yeah, it was good to replace them with something decent. So why on earth did I mix my two tyres? It's a pretty simple reason, really. I wanted a really sticky tyre for the front of my bike that I knew I could rely on in the wet and the dry on the front and not have to worry about slides, and know that it was going to stick really well when I was, road riding like I was on a sports bike, and I wasn't really worried about mileage. Different needs for my rear tyre. I'm very hard on rear tyres, tend to rip the middle out of them because I'm a bit of an animal. And anyway, so I needed something that was going to give me better mileage. I didn't want something that was going to chew out in a couple of thousand Ks, which I don't know because I haven't had an Anakee Wild on the back, but my suspicion is I would pretty much destroy that in 2,000 to 3,000 Ks, and I can't afford to be changing my tyres all the time. So I went with the MITAS EO7 Plus in the hope that it would, be good enough on the road and still give me some of those off-road qualities. Now, on with the review. I am going to talk about the Anakee Wild first and give it the good, the bad, and the ugly treatment, and then I'll be talking about, towards the end of the review, I'll also be talking about that MITAS EO7 Plus. I'll try and put some chapters on, so if you're only interested in the MITAS, you can skip to the end.
Skip to the end.
But if you want to know how they worked in conjunction, stay all the way through to the end, because that's something that I think not a lot of people consider, is running different types of tyres, running different brands of tyres, and having that confidence. Is that going to work? Is it going to do weird stuff to the bike? What's it like? So the Anakee Wild, the good. The first thing that's good about it is it sticks like shit to a blanket. On the road, in good conditions, it never broke loose. It's good in the cold. Braking really hard on wet, slippery roads. I never had an issue. In fact, I don't think I managed to break the front tyre loose, even doing very aggressive emergency braking. It sticks really well in the cold and the wet, when you're cornering fast, when you fast road riding in in the wet and the cold. So obviously when you're buying a 50/50 tyre, most of you are not going to be just caring about, how does this work on the road? You're not looking for the ultimate sport bike tyre. What's it like off-road? Well, I would say it is fantastic on gravel. I had a lot of confidence in it when it was reasonably new and the knobs were quite deep, and even actually when that was quite worn, it still worked really well. I did a BMW adventure ride and did a wheel gravel riding most of the day, and yeah, I didn't have any issues with it, no scary moments, and we did get up to sort of decent pace during that ride. So the Anakee Wild, it's fantastic on gravel, it's great on dirt, although pretty much any tyres are if the dirt's dry. It works okay in mud, I didn't have any issues there. It's great in sand, was alright across rocks. Yeah, I mean, what else can you say? It does what it's supposed to do. It's a 50/50 tyre and works fantastic on the road, and it's, for my uses, seem to be really good off-road. The Anakee Wild has a really stiff carcass, so you can run very low pressures and not be concerned about that. I had them on my DR650, got a flat tyre and my front tyre on the way home, and rode at 11-12 kilometres with a completely flat tyre, and there were no issues at all. When I took it into the bike shop, they said, no, it's fine, I haven't done any damage to it. I hadn't even damaged the tube, actually. And now we're into the arguably the bad. There's not really much bad to say about this tyre. Is really reaching for something to fit in that category, if I'm honest. When you get these put on by your tyre shop, they're probably going to put the recommended pressures in, and I would not run these at the recommended pressures if you paid me. They are horrible at the recommended pressures. They are, as I say, they're a very stiff carcass, these Anakee Wilds, and when you run them at standard road pressures, they skip and bump and hop off every single bump. They don't absorb any shock. They don't feel like they're giving you any traction. When you stop after a sort of a decently kind of semi-hard ride, you can put your hand on them and they're almost like stone cold. They just do not heat up at the standard recommended road pressures. I wouldn't run them at that. The uglies. To be honest, there's no uglies with this tyre. I don't want to say it's perfect, but to be honest, like, I can't really think of anything that's bad about this. And it's pretty much a miracle of modern engineering. It's lasted really well. I'm happy with the mileage I got out of it. As I say, stuck like to a blanket in all kinds of conditions. Been a really good off-road tyre. How much mileage did I get out of the Anakee Wild? Well, I basically got about 8,000 good kilometres out of this before it was, pretty much toast. I'm still using it now. I don't know how many Ks I've done on it now. Probably over 10,000 Ks. That's about as much as I've had out of any tyre ever. Probably wouldn't use it off-road much now. I certainly wouldn't ride hard off-road with it. From my point of view, it's basically knackered, but I think it's probably still legal, actually. But it is definitely past its best, and I am going to be replacing it soon with another Anakee Wild. Unless someone's got a suggestion for something they think's better. If you think you've got a tyre that's better, maybe talk about it in the comments below. Tell me what it is. Tell me what you ride. Tell me how you ride. Tell me why it's a better tyre than the Anakee Wild. Okay, the MITAS EO7 Plus. Why did I buy it? Was it any good? Should you buy one? It's sticky on dry roads, and I never had any issues with it. Riding at pace in all kinds of conditions. Wet, dry, slippery, otherwise, within reason. So it's a decent road tyre. Does it work off-road as a 50-50? Yeah, it works in mud, okay. Works in sand, alright. Works on rocks, fine. Works in the dirt, works on clay, works in gravel. I'm not going to say it's an incredibly amazing tyre, but I didn't really have any issues with it. I was riding quite fast at times on the BMW adventure ride that I went on, in the pretty much only gravel, but it seemed to work perfectly well in those conditions. I didn't come away going, it's not very good, and I thought it was pretty knackered by that point, actually. It still had lots of meat on the sides, but the middle was definitely past its best. But even as a worn tyre with, I think it had nearly 6,000 Ks on it then, actually 5,500 Ks, still worked well, and yeah, it was decent. Okay, what about the bad? It just does not work at the recommended road pressures. The carcass doesn't get any flex at the standard road pressures, so it doesn't generate any heat, and then basically as a consequence it's not sticky, it doesn't feel good, it's not at all confidence inspiring, it's terrible under brakes, and it spins up really easy when you're accelerating, even on the drive. So what about the ugly? Well, I'm probably being a little bit unrealistic here, a little bit unfair, but from my perspective, it's, as I said, it's a kind of a jack of all trades, master of none. It works everywhere. Like, it's, from that point of view, you can't complain, but Does it work really awesomely well? Does it give you a ton of confidence in all those conditions, on and off road? Not really. I would like something stickier. I would like something that lasted longer. But as I say, is that realistic? Maybe not. As far as mileage goes, I only got about 6,000 Ks of good performance out of my MITAS EO7 Plus. But it worked well enough that I went and bought another one, and I've got another one on my bike now. So that kind of tells you volumes, really. If anyone has got a better suggestion, something that will last longer and give better performance on-road and off-road, I am all ears. Please tell me. Please leave comments, and maybe I will try that tyre out next time. Overall, both those tyres worked acceptably well, which is probably damning with praise. To be honest, they worked very well enough that I have replaced like for like. They both lasted acceptably well. I think 6,000 Ks out of a rear tyre is perfectly acceptable. When I had my sport bikes in the 90s, 6,000 Ks was your lot. I don't think I never had any more than 6,000 Ks out of any tyre. So yeah, usually got 5,000 to 6,000 Ks out of a sport bike tyre. So I can't really expect more out of these. They both performed really well in all the conditions I threw at them, whether that was hard road riding in warm conditions, whether it was wet road riding and wet, slippery, cold conditions, whether it was in sand, whether it was in mud, whether it was in over rocks, whether it was on dirt or clay or whatever. At no point did I think the tyres were a limiting factor. My riding was always the limiting factor. So yeah, I think they're pretty good tyres. They worked well together. There didn't seem to be any issues with the profiles. The bike always turned in really well. It didn't wander, it didn't weave, it didn't do anything weird at speed. Yeah, so I think mixing and matching tyres, perfectly okay, especially with anything that's kind of a knob or a semi-knob, because even if the profiles aren't quite exactly right, they wear so quickly that they kind of end up matching up their profiles and working fine. And I guess too, maybe if you're running lowish pressures and the tyres are squishing out of shape anyway, it's probably not that relevant. What are my overall takeaways from that? My overall takeaways are make sure you are running suitable pressures for what you're doing and not the recommended pressures. Probably significantly with these two tyres, with these hard carcasses, run much lower pressures than the recommended pressures. Don't be afraid to mix and match your tyres. And my last takeaway is I cannot get over how far tyres have come in the last 20 years, 15, 20 years. They're just amazing compared to what I was using back in my V-Strom and my KTM 950 Adventure. Those tyres were either like really kind of hard knobs that didn't stick on the road and kind of weaved and squished out of shape and didn't track properly and didn't last very long. So yeah, they're definitely much superior to those tyres that we used to be able to get. It's just a shame the adventure bikes themselves have not really improved in any noticeable way. Anyway, thanks very much guys. Cheers for checking this out. Remember to get out there and have an adventure of some kind and keep it shiny side up. I'll catch you all next time. Biking with Campbell. Bye. Okay. We'll see you later. You can go now. Thanks for coming. See you all later. Come back again, you all here. Cheers.